everybody, it's Dr. Lori. This is Ask Dr. Lori. I'm taking your questions, any questions, whatever you want to ask me. Professional, personal, appraisal, object, identification, and your complaints. What are your problems? What do you want to see change? How do you feel about the art, antique, and collectibles world? What are your complaints about what happens here with me or whatever? So I want to hear you. This is your forum. I'm happy to answer those questions. I'll also answer the big question, is it valuable? Do you have something and you want to know if it's valuable or not? Or you want to know why something's changed or what's different here? I've been very, very busy. So I want to know what you guys are thinking. I'm sure you've been busy too. So let me know what you guys are thinking and what's happening there. So questions are going to come. You can type them right into the comments. Super chats and super stickers are also open if you want to support the channel and the videos that I make and the things that we do to help you to succeed. So I hope that you'll think about supporting. Oh, let's see what we've got. I respect Dr. Lori so much. So that's nice. I avoid trolling her. Oh, well, that's nice. So this person is a troll of some sort, but she or he avoids trolling me. Well, I'm lucky. I do have a thing or two that for her to evaluate, if you know what I mean. So, I guess I have to take you for your word if I know what you mean. If you have something that you'd like to have, of course, evaluated, you can go to my website and send a photo. It's nice that even the trolls respect me enough not to, that troll anyway, if that person meant that she or he is a troll, I don't know. I don't know if I admit that, but but it's nice that they've decided that they respect me and they don't want to troll me. So thank you. One less troll is great, but there are enough of them out there who are bothering me. But anyway, so yes, if you have something that you'd like to have me take a look at, you can do that on our website. You probably have an idea of that. You missed me in Minnesota. Well, let me just put it all to you clearly. Every single thing I do, less going to the bathroom, is on my social media. You'll get an alert if you subscribe to the new YouTube channel. It's on the website, drloriv.com. It's also on our newsletter, which is free. And I've told you a billion times how you can get the free newsletter. So how you missed me in Minnesota, or how you missed me at this event, or how you missed this live, if you're watching the replay and you go, I didn't know she was going to be live. Basically, it's everywhere. We put it everywhere. Every single thing I do, we put it everywhere. If it's a TV show or whatever it might be. So you just have to subscribe to the channel. You have to go to the website, get the alerts, and you'll be able to know what's going on. I mean, we do tell you everywhere because we want you to participate and be part of the community. It's so much fun. So there you go. But that's why you missed me. We're excited to have you do more video appraisals next Saturday. Sending love from Maine. Oh, look at how pretty Maine is with that nice rainbow. I've been doing video appraisals, video call appraisals, and of course, big event appraisals as well. My big appraisal events have been going on since 1998. So if you're watching other people who are just doing an appraisal event of a small group or something, I've been doing major appraisal events since 1998. Big convention halls, big events all over the country for decades. And, it's so much fun. I've been telling America stories and, of course, looking at objects for a long time. And it's fun to be with all of you. Here's Corey. Found a plastic bracelet and a necklace by Sorbal. Wondering if it has even value, even if it's plastic. That's a good question. A lot of people ask that. But, there's a lot of pieces. Even, I have plastic jewelry, too. A lot of people do. Also, lucite jewelry. Any of those composites can have value. So don't just say, oh, it's plastic, it's not worth anything. It can actually have a value, too. And usually it's significant value depending on its time period and its maker. Sorbal is one of the better known makers of the 20th century. And I would say that you probably have a good bet that particular piece is going to be valuable. Now, your questions can be about anything. That's a fine question. But I want questions that are going to help everybody. That one we talked a little bit about, of course, plastics, lucites, and other composite materials. And that's usually not a naturally developed material when I say that word composite. But that's a good question too. But yeah, plastic pieces can certainly have value. So, I want you to identify quality, which it sounds like that's what Corey's trying to do. That's good. But basically, don't just poo-poo a material if you think, well, it's just plastic, Dr. Lori. Plastics were a big deal after World War II. So a lot of items, including jewelry that were plastic, was seen as, wow, this is so great. Oh, Hummel Girl Hummel Girl in the Apple Tree. She's called the Apple Tree Girl by Goebel, based on the drawings of Maria Hummel. Okay. Some have a blue bird on it. Yes. Original value with or without. Hummel name, always on the side, H. Okay. A couple of different things about this. First of all, the birds can be all different colors because the people who are painting these earthenware ceramic pieces can decide whether or not they want a bluebird or a cardinal or, you know, a robin or whatever kind of bird they want. I know like 5 birds. I don't really know a lot about birds. So that's true. Yes, the bird can be blue. That's not that it's not original or that it's a fake or anything else. You want to look for the Goebel mark or the V and the B mark. There are 11 different marks that the Goebel company used since its inception in 1871. Yes, it usually has an inscription that says M.I. Hummel on the side. And you know what I'm going to tell you too? I give you all the information about the values and which ones are more valuable right here on this channel. That's right. Hummel, many videos where I discuss Hummels, and specifically one just devoted to Hummels is here. And it's about, of course, Hummels and their values. All you have to do is go to the Dr. Lori V YouTube page and search Hummel. And guess what? My videos about Hummels will come up. So use it. We also have a binge link. The binge link is also easy to find. That's on my website, on my specials and shopping page. You'll scroll down. I'll say it again. You have to scroll down when you get to the specials and shopping page, which is a big red thing that says specials and shop. Click it, scroll down. It says binge link. Cut and paste that little link. Put it into your web browser where you go to Google or Yahoo or Bing or whatever you use, and you will have all of my videos. So if you want to do it that way, you can do it that way to get all the videos. If you want to, in fact, subscribe to this channel so you get alerts about new videos, as well as, of course, when you want to search the channel, you can just use the search on YouTube, Dr. Lori V. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. That helps. And it helps me to continue to do these kinds of things. So thank you for that. In any amount, everything helps. And of course, it shows that what we're doing is we're doing something right. If I don't see those, then I start to think, well, you know, these folks are not really watching. They're not really devoted. They don't really want me to help them. But you know, I appreciate that very much. Whatever you can do is helpful. So don't think, oh, I can't really do that much. Anything helps. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I will thank everybody. So some people say, oh, why are you thanking everybody? Because I think you should thank people. So that's it. Can the name be on top of the base instead of on the side? Sorry, I couldn't find that on the videos. Okay. My videos talk about what it should be. So basically, I think what you have here is the name of the actual piece. Is it on a label? Because the Hummels have a lot of different things. So because you're getting so specific, I think you should contact me, send a picture of your Hummel, and let me take a look. I also think that you didn't watch the whole video or you didn't watch all the videos. So I would suggest you look at the videos, but you're very welcome to go to my website. Right there on the home page, there's a round circle with a camera in it, 3 little brown circles. Click on that. Here it is. Send photos, get a report, send the photo, fill out the form. I look at the photo. Nobody else looks at it. I look at it with these 2 brown eyes. I look at it. And I will tell you whether or not you should pursue an appraisal. It's just that simple. So I'll take a look at that. So then there's lots of different information with respect to the names. Thank you very much, Lori. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for your support always. It's very helpful. What other questions have we got? Cynthia, what does the MOB stand for on a silver marking Mexico? 925 MOB. MOB can stand for many different things. Some of it has to do with a manufacturer's mark. Some of it is a maker's mark. A manufacturer's mark is different than a maker's mark. A maker's mark, everybody thinks that's the person who made it. That might be the person who designed it, right? It also could indicate, of course, the way in which this piece might be available for export. So different letters mean different things. You might see different types of things. When it says Mexico 925, remember, you're not getting a piece of alpaca that way. You're not getting a piece of plate that way. You're not getting a piece of what we consider German silver, right? So 925 is going to be important. But remember, marks are going to be many and vast. Is there more information about where you can learn about the marks and what they are? On my website at drloriv.com under the research tab. It's an I for information icon right above the free icon. It says research, or you can go to the search and you can search for that for silver right there on my website too. You can do that as well. So there's a lot of information here. Thank you very much, Sharon Ann. I appreciate your help. And I know that I'm helping many of you. I've been doing video calls all different places and also traveling. And a lot of people have been saying to me, Dr. Lori, I'm so glad I got to meet you. Dr. Lori, you've helped me so much, whether it's learning something or making money or building a great collection for yourself. 99% of these questions are, watch the videos. We don't expect any other doctor to do things for free. 99% of these questions are, watch the videos. We don't expect any other doctor to do things for free. Okay, Lisa, I need you to be a little bit more specific because I don't really get what you're saying. So if you have to say something and you think it's like not nice, just say it. You know, I'd rather you just say it because then I'll understand what it is so I can basically comment on it so you can get my take on what you think. So I'm not really sure what that means. I'm sorry. Are marbles worth anything? Yes, marbles can be valuable. Just recently in my public event in Iowa, there was a wonderful group of marbles that came in, all different types. And most people have a lot of different marbles. And some of them are not worth all that much. And some of them you could have 1 or 2 or 20 that are really valuable. So there's different aspects to, of course, the marbles. And what's valuable. So sometimes you're looking for swirls. Sometimes you're looking for the type of material or glass. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Sometimes you're looking for whether or not it's clay. Sometimes you're looking for whether or not there's actually a small little figural element inside the marble, as if, you know, the marble was made up around something. All different types of marbles is important too. So thank you very much, Sharon, for your support of the channel too. It helps me and I appreciate seeing it. So I hope that answers some of your questions on marbles. If you want a full discussion of marbles, on my website. So maybe that's what the other person was getting at. Oh, she just says watch the videos. She says watch the videos. I do say watch the videos because I spent a lot of time teaching you all of this stuff in the videos where you can learn the whole breadth and scope of something, right? And you can stop it or watch it again if you don't get something. But I'm happy to answer questions here. That's why I'm here. Your complaints are fine too, whatever that might be. Because we are, of course, trying to serve you. So we want you to be happy. We want to do what you need. Can you list exactly what episodes you appear on in Oak Island, Pawn Stars? Well, Stacy, I could, sure. I could do that. I could go through that on Oak Island. My episodes were the highest rated. They were season finales. They were 2-hour, extensions episodes. I could go through all of that. I could go through which Pawn Stars Do America episodes I was on as well. I could also, of course, tell you about my new appearances on the new series, which is produced by Peyton Manning called The King of Collectibles on Netflix. I could talk to you about Netflix and that show, and I can go through, but I think that would be relatively boring. I think it's just as easy for you to search and find it as well. The new Netflix show, which is the most recent, and I am going to be taping more shows, other shows. I'm going to be taping more this summer. But the new Netflix show, you can start with season 1, episode 1, and you'll see me. You start there. So there you go. And I believe that whole show has dropped. So if you want to binge watch the show, you can. But yes, thank you for mentioning that. Other shows that I've been on for years, for example, Discovery Channel's Auction Kings is in reruns. They stopped production on that show a couple years ago. And that's a fun show still. You can go and watch me there too. You can see, younger Dr. Lori versus older Dr. Lori and make your comparisons. But there's a lot of TV where I appear, of course. So thank you for that. Oak Island's a lot of fun, as is Pawn Stars. Those guys are fun too. So is Netflix and all of them. Andy, hi. Thanks for the call last week, Dr. Lori. I still can't believe the painting was identified incorrectly by the auction house. Yeah. Andy did, I hope this is okay if I say this, Andy. Andy actually had a painting identified incorrectly when I think he purchased it from an auction house. And then he actually had an online appraisal service do an appraisal, and that one was incorrect too. I was able to clean up their act. So I was able to identify it properly. And Andy, of course, thought that there was something, something was fishy in Denmark. He thought something was wrong with this information too. So he knew from his own research and from talking to me that, in fact, he was going down the better road. This happens a lot. I correct a lot of other appraisals. I sometimes think, okay, this is just all underhanded. And sometimes I think, well, they're just making honest mistakes. But to mess up something when you're looking at one painting by an artist with the same name as another artist, and to look at the artist's work and it's so different for them to mix that up, that was pretty bad. That was pretty bad. So yeah, they did misidentify it, and but again, I was happy to be able to set the record straight. So thank you, Andy, for mentioning it. I'm glad that the call worked out well for you, and keep it up. You found some real bargains. Silver quadruple plate versus silver plate. Hi, Terry Lynn. It's nice to see you. Okay, so you want to know the difference. I'm guessing that's what this question means. You want to know the difference. So silver quadruple plate means that in the electroplating process, 4 times electroplated or gone through the process, versus silver plate. Typical silver plate is usually not identified for the multiple times it goes through. You probably have seen plated, silver plated, triple plate, quadruple plate. So quadruple is 4, triple is 3. Silver plate is anything less than 3. Okay, so it probably doesn't have as much, well, it definitely doesn't have as much silver plating on top of the base metal, right? When they put the sheets, of course, on it through the electroplating process. So if you have quadruple plate, it's better than triple plate. If you have triple plate, it's better than silver plated, right? Or plated. And silver over copper is usually the lowest in terms of value and in terms of quality. That's a good question. I hope helped everybody, and thank you for it. Thank you very much for the super chats and the super stickers. For those of you who are succeeding, oh, Dr. Lori, you taught me this. Oh, Dr. Lori, I was able to spot that. That's great. Thank you very much, John. I think the classes are awesome too, not only because of my participation and that I run them, but because all of you are there. All of you do a great job. Of course, the selling classes, which are very popular, a lot of people are taking those, and new selling classes are coming up. Where do you find them? The website under events. Scroll down the calendar, you'll see those classes. And then, of course, the class with appraisals, very popular because you'll learn about all different types of things. So the selling classes and the class with appraisals are available and offered through our website. Thank you, John. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And, you and the other class members are just as, important to the class as everybody else. Lots of different opinions, a lot of different ideas. And it really helps when folks are, of course, in the community like this. That happens too, of course, on my social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. So great. Yeah. Thanks so much, John. Is my oil painting by Ann Breza, California Schoolhouse, 18 by 20 worth anything? Well, is it oil on canvas? Is it oil on board? Is it 18 by 20? Is that site size or is that frame size? And let me ask everybody else. Does anybody else have a painting by Ann Breza that they want to know about? So that's a little bit, again, that's one of those questions that probably won't help everybody here. So let's get some questions that do help everybody. As for helping you, because I don't want you to feel slighted, go to my website and submit the picture through the web form. You can, of course, do that right there. That's one of the things that you can do very, very well. You can do very, very easily. Ace, what's Ace doing? Let's see what's Ace doing. Grandma wants me to go through 50 years of fine jewelry to give to her loved ones. Okay. What's a good way to start to separate value from cheap? I know I can always video call when I'm organized. Okay, organize first. So the first thing I would do is I would organize it by type. Earrings go here, bracelets go here, necklaces go here. Okay. I would measure all of them and I would look at every single mark. Then I would book the call. Don't have the call until you are organized because you're going to waste time trying to organize it while I'm on the call. So you want to make sure you have the video call. I would say a 30-minute video call. And everybody who does my video calls will tell you, if you're organized, I'm very fast, you can get through a lot. So that's what I would do. I would definitely do it that way. That's the easiest way to do it. Don't worry about the materials yet, but get yourself organized and go from there. You don't expect, and this is for anybody who's trying to identify, anybody who's trying to go through a big estate, a lot of objects, multiple pieces, don't expect to do it all very quickly. It took a lifetime to collect this stuff. Don't expect that you're going to be able to organize it all very quickly. So you might have to do it in pieces. So maybe you say, I have the call with Dr. Lori just about necklaces today. And then a week or two goes by and I'm going to do the next one, that kind of thing. Glass buttons definitely have value. Oftentimes significant value. There are many button collectors out there and they're oftentimes overlooked. All types of buttons are overlooked. One of the things that we found on Oak Island when, of course, we were treasure hunting of course, Knights Templar pieces and other pieces. We did find a lot of buttons, military and otherwise. I did a great appraisal of a wonderful collection of early Roman pieces and Knights Templar pieces dating back to the time of the Knights Templar. Very, very fascinating pieces and wonderful pieces, including, Roman daggers. Terrific stuff, exciting stuff. So I hope you'll watch that too. Thank you, Anne, very much for the super chats and the super stickers. I've heard some complaints that I thank people too much. I don't think you can thank anybody too much. I love it when someone says, gee, Dr. Lori, thank you. You helped me. I love that. I think that's nice. That's what I think. Anyway, so lots of fun. Good to see all of you here. What other questions have we got? Do you appraise newly commissioned pieces? Yes, I do. I appraise pieces by new artists who are wanting to figure out how to actually price their pieces if they're starting up with galleries or such. I also appraise contemporary artwork as well as new collectibles. So yes, I do. Yep. I always keep current. You need to do that all the time. Looking back and seeing what some of these people are saying, I saw one person who was talking about, what's hot now. And they were talking about signage, how these big signs were hot. Well, those big signs, like signs that have to do with not really so much advertising signs, but signs that actually would be like, signs that you might see in roadside types of signs. Those signs that American pickers made relatively popular. They made them popular 20 years ago. Everybody was in their kitchen. They'd have a sign that said family and love and on their actual wall. Well, that was that same kind of trend, 20 years old, not hot anymore. Can you sell them for something? Sure, but not the way that they used to sell. So be careful of who you're listening to with what the trends are too. So, but yes, contemporary pieces I certainly can appraise, and I know the market because I keep current all the time. So is glass that hand's blown but not signed valuable? Yes, Sandra. Yes, definitely. Hand-blown glass, which is unsigned, based on color and form and condition, right, and size, and quality of the glass will always be valuable. People love it. People love it. People pay a lot for glass. Glass is relatively inexpensive to make, but people do pay a lot for it. So yeah, good question. Thank you. Don Ray, thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. I hope you're doing well. I appreciate that all of you are here and that you're sharing the channel and talking about what's going on. Roycroft pottery is a very desirable item and has been for collectors for a long time. The Roycrofters of East Aurora, New York, of course, a very important early arts and crafts community of artisans. Elbert Hubbard and all of the artists that relate to that particular environment, very important. So yes, and high prices. I remember I was in Houston. And I appraised a desk set of copper, hand-hammered copper by the Roycrofters. They have a very distinctive mark as well, the Roycrofters. And again, if you're watching the replay, you're saying, I want to see the Roycrofters mark. This is live. I don't know that she's going to ask the question about the Roycrofters, so I can't show you the mark. If I could, I would. So thank you very much, Penny. I appreciate your help. This is very helpful to me. And of course, I'll continue to support you guys with videos and help you with videos. I know many of you are getting a great benefit out of the channel, and I'm happy for that. That's what I want. Because of your classes as an antique vendor, I can talk and discuss my items professionally and identify them. This is great. I'm educated with my conversation with clients. This is great. I'll schedule an appraisal with you soon. That's great, Kathy. That's terrific. You want to feel confident and comfortable and know what you're doing and what you're talking about. And you want to give the right information to your buyers so they'll come back and they'll feel comfortable to buy from you. I think that's fantastic. Good for you. I'm glad the classes were helpful. That's why we do them. We work very hard to do them, and I'm happy to do that. Thank you for telling me. I appreciate hearing that. Is there a particular time period when stoneware bottles and jugs with porcelain stoppers were made in France? There's a lot of times when we see this. So stoneware bottles, first of all, and then porcelain stoppers are going to be made. They can be made as early as the 16th century and as late as last week. So you've got the 16th century, which is the 1500s all the way until last week. Different types, different styles. But you're asking about stoneware, you're asking about bottles, you're asking about jugs. Then you want to make sure that there's porcelain stoppers. So, some go together and some don't. France is not the only place that they're made, of course. They're made in many different areas, but Northern and Central Europe are a mainstay, a main location for them. Good question. Thank you. Yep. Tell me about Ruskin pottery in jewelry. Okay, so a couple of different things about Ruskin pottery in jewelry. First of all, ceramics in jewelry overall is something that's introduced in large numbers after World War II. So that doesn't mean that they didn't, paint on little pieces of porcelain. So you had the Limoges porcelain pieces that were painted as brooches. That happens quite early. But in fact, when you see Ruskin pieces in ceramic, that really is seeing us through into the mid to late 20th century. Jewelry pieces of ceramic was also made. It was called the bake. It was called the bake style. And the bake style basically was these folks who said, well, I don't have to use metals if I don't want to use metals. I don't have to cast things using centrifuges and molten metals. I can actually bake my ceramics. Bake ceramics and bake my jewelry and pendants and such. Those pieces can be what I would call middle of the road in terms of value, but desirable and good looking. Yeah. I believe that I talk about them also in one of the articles on my research pages. Hi, Herman. What about Napier fashion pieces? Herman, I would say if you see a piece of Napier and the mark is clear, usually upper and lowercase, it could either be sort of cursive Napier or an uppercase Napier mark on it. If the piece is in good condition, you probably could do well if you bought it at the thrift store if you wanted to resell it. You do fine with that. I gave you lists, more than one list, but lists of costume jewelry designers who you should look for. And that was a very popular video if you didn't see it. And I hope you will look at it again for those of you who might have seen it. But I would say that's one of the videos you want to look for. How do you find it? Search on the YouTube channel. Put in costume jewelry. And that video will come up as well. And it gives you a list of all of the names you should be looking for. So I'm sure that'll help. Oh, yeah. A lot of people collect antique scissors. A lot of people collect a lot of sewing implements, whether they're small scale or larger scale, and tools in general, like scissors, can be popular. But you might be talking about, I'm making an assumption here, you might be talking about small antique scissors that go along with sewing implements. Oftentimes you will find those. I remember many, many times in evaluating sewing chests and sewing tables, when the scissors come out, and they could be sterling silver and beautifully scroll work designed, they can be pretty valuable too. So yeah, good question. Yep. They can have significant value. Thank you for the questions. Keep them coming. I'm happy to take your complaints, and I'll answer personal questions too. A lot of you are interested in knowing what I'm doing. I made quiche yesterday. I was busy making quiche. Spinach didn't come out that great. I'll eat it, but it wasn't great. Anyway, sometimes the cooking doesn't work. I don't know if you're like that. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I had the extra spinach. I hate to throw things away, so I tried to make something out of it. I have pottery from a contemporary studio, Nichibi. When does pottery accrue a value? Does it have to be vintage? This is a good question. The Nichibi, I'd like to see the mark. Is it an actual cipher mark, like an image, like a symbol, right? Or is it something else? Can I see that comment again? I didn't get the second part of the question. I'm sorry. I try to be fast. Maybe you can do it. Maybe you can't. When does it accrue a value? Like, when does pottery become valuable? Well, if it's a piece of, Madura by Picasso, it becomes value right out of the kiln. Okay, that's valuable. Boom. If in fact it becomes more valuable as the artist becomes more famous, or as the pieces get out into and are traded. A lot of people are surprised that certain pieces, because they're not traded a lot, they're not bought and sold, the values always stay rather low. I knew that would be in my way. So that's the other thing that we're seeing, in fact. But for the most part, when you are looking, does it have to be vintage? Age is not a value indicator. It doesn't have to be old to be valuable. Anything, any object, right? We like vintage pieces. We like the memories. We like the stories, right? My mother's cookie jar. We like those kinds of things. But in fact, it doesn't have to be vintage to be valuable. It depends on the quality, the artist, the material, the form, the style, the design, all those factors. So no, it doesn't have to be old to be valuable, even vintage, which isn't that old. So a lot of things going on. The Netflix show, new taping of other shows. Thank you for the super chats and super stickers. Thank you also for, of course, doing the video calls. I know it's very helpful to so many of you. I meet so many folks. I had met a wonderful couple today from Raleigh, North Carolina, a husband and wife couple. They were so funny, so cute. They're like, we have our bag. We go thrift store shopping with the treasure hunt tools that the loop and the black light and all this stuff. He goes, we're really doing this, Dr. Lori. And it's nice to see folks doing this together too. So that was fun. What's the size of your monitor when you view what we show you using your phone or laptop? What's the size of my monitor when I view it? It's a big monitor. It's like a big TV screen. Is that what you're asking? What we see when you view it? It's a big TV screen. Why? You think my eyes are going? I have very high quality equipment, which is why I'm asking you, Steve, for a super chat and a super sticker, because in order to maintain all of this high quality equipment, it's expensive. But yeah, so we do in fact have appropriate devices so I can see everything. So it's not only about how big everything is, right? Remember, it also has to do with the quality. Also, your photos have to be good. And if your photos aren't good, I'm going to say, gee, you got to send me a clear photo. I do have folks who don't send a clear photo. And then those, of course, I send back and say, you need to send me something better. What's hot in this year? Is there an antiques anniversary? Oh, well, sure. 2023, of course, the anniversaries of many different things. So you can just look up historically and go, oh, okay, this is when this happened 100 years ago. This is when this happened 100 years ago. So what's hot right now in antiques? I've told it to you many, many times. I've told you that people are collecting things like, for example, the cookie jars aren't in the way they were, but barware is in, right? So a lot of these sets of glass, tumblers and such. Mid-century modern is still popular, but it is waning. Brutalist pieces, especially sculpture, is becoming very popular. So pieces of course, aluminum sculpture, cast metal sculpture, but brutalist pieces that are geometric and, typically not figural. I had a great piece that was actually acquired for a song that was worth a lot of money, a brutalist sculpture. And the auction house that actually marketed it when the person who bought it, my class member bought it, he said, I didn't have any idea it was this big because they didn't really tell me how big it was with the auction listing. So thank you very much for your super chats and your super stickers. So that's an interesting thing as well. But so yeah, and always fine art, jewelry still very popular. There's a lot of folks who are reselling jewelry, fine jewelry, as well as costume jewelry. And they are still finding success in that particular arena, which is great. Petty point, textile samplers, a lot of 1970s. Macrame is popular too. So I hope that helps. Hi, Penny. Thank you for your support. You're in Tampa. Many of you know that I do a regular weekly television show on ABC in Tampa. Are vintage hand paintings on a shell of a Persian battle scene worth anything? It's very pretty. Okay, a couple of different things about these. These are pretty typical, and I've seen a lot of these about this big, and it's usually Persian or Turkish, Moorish, Ottoman Empire soldiers on horses. Very, very typical. Oftentimes they're on ivory. Sometimes they're painted on bone. And oftentimes they are in a very decorative, what's called a Moorish frame. It has all of these geometric pattern around the frame. So those are pretty typical. But when I saw that actual, so yes, they can be valuable. Yeah, they're pretty common, more common than you might think. But when I saw that question, in my mind, I started to think, in fact, of seashells in the late 19th century, to paint a seashell, in fact, with an image of the seashore, the image of a cottage, particularly in Newport and along the rocky eastern seaboard, the rocky coast of the eastern seaboard. A lot of people collect those, and they're pretty rare and they're pretty valuable. I've appraised a couple of those that have come in. The other thing that's valuable in terms of sea art is called Sailor's Valentines, where all seashells are put together, and basically they make a picture. The seashells are collected from all over the world. Wonderful conversation pieces. So yeah. Best place to get vintage Hermes scarf appraised? Me, right here. I appraised many of them. One actually we did on Real Bargains, I believe. It came out of a thrift store lot. The person actually cuts up scarves to do a craft project, and she saw this one and she was afraid to cut it. And I was like, good. And it was worth a lot of money, so I can appraise it. And when you say, the best place to appraise this, the best place to appraise that, you all know who the expert is. All right, let's see. What else? Any good resources for dating cameos? Sure. Cameos are relatively easy to date. What's not always as easy is to identify whether or not you have a real or a fake. So when you're dating the cameo, there are certain characteristics that relate to, in fact, the position of the actual sitter. So do you have a classical figure? Do you have like the Three Graces, or do you have Diana with a bow and arrow, the goddess of the hunt? Or do you have just a woman in profile? Do you have someone who has a woman in profile, but she has a little diamond chip, like as a necklace, this kind of thing, all different time periods. So usually the classical figural ones that have a classical god or goddess on them are usually the late 1800s. Other cameos can be of all different time periods. There's lots of characteristics for it, but that's a good question. I should do a video on that and talk about cameos. That's a good question. What is a Gregory Duncan bar set worth in Dandelion? I need to see the condition of it. I need to see what are all the pieces in your set. So do you have 4 tumblers? Do you have 6 tumblers? Do you have cocktail martini glasses? Do you have a shaker? Do you have actually a martini pitcher? Do you have the pole that goes in the martini pitcher? What do you have before I go throwing around numbers? Thank you, Grain. Is it Grain? Well, whatever it is, GS, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that too. Thank you, Risa. I appreciate that too. It's very helpful. I hope you understand it. And it's also helpful so I realize, wow, I should continue to help you guys because you really need it and you want it. And you know that you're succeeding. I don't want you to put yourself in a financial strait, to give me a super chat. But I do want you to know that it goes to a good cause. And that cause ends up being you. So I'm doing all this for you. The other thing I'm doing for all of you is, wait for it, thrifting videos are coming. That's right. We are putting together Thrift with Dr. Lori videos because you've all been asking me for them. And I know that you're going to love them. And I'm going to show you what to find right there. So look for those too. If you have not subscribed, you've got to hit the subscribe. You should subscribe now. Why? So you get the alert on YouTube. So you know when these videos are going to come out. Right. And I've told you a million times about how to get my free newsletter. That's of course on our website. Easy to do. I know a store where it's owned by a certified appraiser whose sales stay fine. Is this safe to shop at, ethical and professional? I can't speak to that. I have no idea if if they're appraisers who sell estate fines, they're going to know what the values are, and they're probably going to, in fact, not tell you the actual real value. So, I can't say, yes, they're great. No, they're not. I can't say that because I don't know anything about those people. If you want to read about my credentials, you can do that on my website. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. I'm saying I don't know. And I don't know. And that's the honest answer. So don't assume just because they're doing that. And why are you buying it from they bought it from an estate sale where you could go to the estate sale and buy it. Why are you waiting until they mark it up from what they paid? So they paid $5 for it at the estate sale. Now they marked it up in their shop to $10 and you're buying it at more than what you could have just gone to the estate sale directly. Come on, Ace, you're smarter than that. Don't do that. All right, where are we? There was something else. But I can't say yes or no because it's not fair. I don't know who they are. Penny, thank you very much for the super chat and the super sticker. I appreciate that too. But yeah, there's so much going on out there. There's so many great estate sales. There's so many great things to be found. And oh my gosh, the stuff that I walked by in thrift stores, the stuff that other people are the stuff that's fantastic pieces, big names, Noritake and Fire King and Limoges and Nippon and Lennox and oh my gosh, German manufacturers and Swedish, mid-century modern, Danish and Swedish. You won't believe the stuff I saw. I'm going to show you. Is it better to sell a whole large set of stemware or sell it by type, like wine, water, champagne, etc.? Okay, here's another thing. A couple of different things. It depends on the quality of the stemware and your price point. So these are some of the things I talk about in the selling class when I'm talking about how to attract buyers, how to, market your listings, how to get the most out of, your actual reselling. So in this particular case, you want to think about if you have a very high-end set and you have a client base that can actually afford to pay for this whole set, then you probably want to keep the set together, sell them all, sell the wines, 12 wines, 12 waters, 12 this. If you have, I don't know, St. Lambert, or if you have Baccarat, or if you have some of the big names, right? But if you have just pieces that are sort of run of the mill, then I would say, 6 wine glasses, sell those as a group, then the matching champagnes. Once somebody, and thank you for the super chat, once somebody is a buyer of one particular set, you can also come back to them and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be listing some more that will match your set. Do you want these? So, you might want to give those people an opportunity too. Chelsea, it's a nice way to spell Chelsea. I found 2 framed photos of the Apollo missions liftoff taken by a civilian. Okay, can be valuable. Do they hold value? Yes. Do they need authentication for resale? I would get a written appraisal from me for them if you want to resell them. It's up to you if you want to pursue that. I'd have to see those to identify whether or not they're worth the cost of the appraisal, but typically they are. Here's why. Any of those historical photographs that documented a historic event, they're good photographs, right? They can have value. Are the ones from NASA worth more? Yeah. Unless the civilian is something like, I don't know, Jim Lovell's wife, and you can document that. Those kinds of things. But actually, I did appraise a work of art, which was actually a picture of the moon. I think it was a picture of the moon that came from a person who goes looking and picking and such, a thrift shopper in the Houston area. And that particular person actually we were able to trace it to the office of one of the astronauts at NASA. So that was kind of cool because you have the provenance. So the value went up. So remember, provenance is going to be important, but you have to have somebody with my skill set to be able to help you with that. To help you get, okay, here's what information you need that will help you to resell it, which is why, of course, the selling classes are so popular and fun. Is that a Swatch watch you have on today? I love the Bright Blue. Yes, Michelle, I have a lot of Swatch watches, and I have a lot of Swatch watches. This is the one that has actually a date and a time, which I do like. I like to know the day and the time because the days get away from me, I got to tell you. Although when I said it to 1 day ago. I said it to the wrong day because like I said, the days get away from me. But yeah, so this is a Swatch, and I do have a lot of them. I like that they're big. I like the colors. I'm a little sportier today. Not all dressed up. Most days of the week, I have to be dressed up for interviews on Zoom or TV or such. So a little bit more cash. I hope that's okay. I was thinking of doing Sweatshirt Saturday, where I put on my worst sweatshirt. I do a video with you. I want to know if you guys would let me do that. That's what I want to know. Although all of you will say, it's your channel. Do what you want, Dr. Lori. But, so yeah, Sweatshirt Saturdays. I should do that. Thank you very much, Steph. I appreciate that. And thank you. Thank you for always supporting the channel. Some of you are so helpful in supporting and so helpful just in general. And I want to be able to help you because I've got all this information to help you with. A lot of you are asking me questions about, what fun books can I read, about art. We were talking about the agony and the ecstasy. We were talking about a couple of different, just fun books, kind of summer reading types of books about art. Oh gosh, the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan, who has a great collection that went, of course, to the New York Public Library. That particular book is a nice sort of historical fiction novel if you like that kind of stuff. But I want you to spend your time shopping, flipping, building collections for yourself, enjoying yourself, watching the videos as well, and utilizing my website as best you can. So taking your questions and your complaints. Something else that you want to know from me that you didn't already know. Since you're being so kind and all of you are here and we're having fun, I'll go a little bit longer than typical. So get those questions up now. And thank you for the super chats and super stickers. Funny, is fur decreasing in value? Are wool coats worth pursuing? Yeah, fur is a little bit difficult. For the most part, I will say that there are folks, first of all, faux fur they're making such good faux fur that a lot of people are actually investing in faux fur. actual real pelts, mink, fox, beaver, whatever it might, raccoon, whatever it might be. There are a lot of folks who, of course, are saying, well, morally, personally, may or may not want to actually wear fur. Okay. But the interest in fur, hats and things like that, or a little bit of fur, typically is also, I think, seeing a lull in the market. But there are a lot of things that are seeing a lull in the market. And when there's a lull in the market, this is the time you should be sourcing for your inventory, right? This is the time you should be looking to build your collections, right? Because that lull is going to become a hillside. That lull is going to become a mountain. Don't worry, it happens all the time. I've been watching patterns of collecting, patterns of the market for decades, okay? And I know what happens. So it looks like, oh, everything's terrible. Oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, everything starts to come up. So, this is the time you should be sourcing. So yeah, I've seen faux fur go way up high. A lot of people like it and want it. And wool in general. Have you seen the Pendleton wool blankets? They're through the roof for Pendleton wool blankets. Those 1950s, 1960s vintage blankets. Also wool army blankets. And similarly, camel hair coats and other types of pieces in the vintage clothing realm have become popular more and more. Some folks wait until winter season because you have to know when to sell to actually market their coats, depending on where you are. Thank you, Janice, very much for your super chats and your super stickers. And for those of you who don't know how to do that on YouTube, there are also other ways that you can, of course, get your video calls and do your video calls with me so I can help you. Is there a value in 1980s large Hummel dolls? Yes, yes. Even the 1960s dolls. Hummel in general is a collectible category that people like. A lot of people will, that also goes for not only the dolls, some of them look like baby dolls. Let's see. There are also the red-headed dolls that were introduced in the 1960s by one of the designers that was not Sister Maria Hummel. The lithograph prints, which I talk about. I also talk about the value of the plates. A lot of people are overlooking the plates. Where do I do it? In that video. I do it in that video right here on the channel about Hummels. Yep. Do you think there's much value in vintage purses? Charlotte, get all the vintage purses, get them all. Because you know what? We cannot have enough vintage purses, and I'm going to show you some of those vintage purses and their values and which are the names that are, you see a lot of names that you see all the time over and over again, but there are a lot of names in vintage purses that you don't want to miss. I do think there are two big names that are seeing a lull in the market where others are not. Actually, three big names that are seeing a lull in the market where others are not. But I would say in general, to answer your general question, yeah, vintage purses, you're never going to go wrong with vintage purses. You're never going to go wrong with costume and fine jewelry. You're never going to go wrong with original artwork, barware. There's a bunch of them that I talk about. And I'm always updating my list. So you're going to get the most recent list and not like other guys who are talking about, 20-year-old, oh, this is hot. That was 20 years ago. Today, I want you to know what's valuable today. And thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate that too. Old paper dolls. There are people who collect old paper dolls. They have to be in very good condition. Sometimes, depending on who they are, for example, the 1980s, and I think I've featured these before on one of my TV shows or one of my articles, but basically the dolls that were Princess Diana and Prince Charles around 1981, they had paper dolls just around the time of their wedding. Thank you for the super sticker. And those paper dolls, because they relate to famous people, will be valuable. In general, paper dolls can have some value if they have not been cut. Most paper dolls are, but basically I've seen that. I've seen the paper doll market like the postcard market called ephemera. So printed paper can have some value. You have to have a pretty big collection and some unique pieces to really increase the value. But that's a good question because they do come up every once in a while. I have a lot coming up, Ace. You got to tune in. Yes, I have a lot coming up, and it's a lot of stuff. It's thrifting. You're going to thrift with me. It's coming up. And, I've been very, very busy, and a lot of people are saying, wow, we've been waiting for Dr. Lori, who's the one to get in there and see what's what. But all of my videos are there to help you. So yeah, there's a lot of them coming up. If you haven't subscribed, I suggest you subscribe so you get the alert so you know when the new videos are coming up. A lot of you, of course, I'm happy that you're here with Ask Dr. Lori live too. And I'm happy to take your questions, your complaints, information that we exchange about your objects, what's valuable, and of course, whatever you're up to. But yeah, so again, I'm traveling around the country. Netflix is a cool show. That show is really cool. I've done a lot of interviews. A lot of members of the press are interested to know my take on, of course, being there with some of the really fun collectors in the world. People like Drake, right? Cool guy. And Mike Tyson and Joe Montana. A lot of sports figures, of course. The great Peyton Manning and others who on the King of Collectibles show, I appraise objects for folks so they can understand things like Beanie Babies and some of the basic collectibles that a lot of people have, not just collectibles that only the really, really wealthy can afford. So it's really kind of fun to see that some of your favorite sports and celebrity heroes are collecting where you're collecting. So that's fun. I'm sorry I missed a question, but maybe I missed more than one. I don't know. Alice Cavanis, brooch, very, very good. So all my videos on brooches, terrific. I hope you're looking at my information about costume jewelry because I'm giving you the straight scoop on costume jewelry. You know, unlike a lot of other people who are trying to resell the pieces and really up the prices, you know, I want you to be aware of what's what. So you saw the Alice Cavanis and those brooches, very desirable, and a lot of them are. So be careful about a lot of the naysayers. You know, we try to be fair and everybody has their 2 cents. But when it comes to it, you want to make sure that you're getting the right information. So again, you know, me not competing with all of you is how you're going to get the right information. In my opinion, appraisers shouldn't be resellers. They should appraise. They should help you identify and learn to identify. So many of you are getting it. So many of you are really learning how to identify the objects and having me help you with the valuations and such. So I'm glad about that. That's great. Is it somewhat common for a person to cut an art piece to fit a frame? Yeah, it really is. I'm afraid. Potentially cutting off the artist's signature. Yes, I have seen this. Do some artists only have originals out and no reproductions? Yes, yes. There are some artists who only paint their originals. They don't get involved in the lithographic print world or the serigraphic print world or making reproductions. Yes, that's true. Is it common for pieces to be fit into a frame? Yeah. Most people don't want to cut off a signature, I have to say. But there are certain times when people go, oh, I don't really care. I just want to look at the picture, and they fold it over into the frame. Sometimes it's in there, but it's been folded over or damaged. But yes, it's kind of common. I have to say it's become much more common to have it fit into a frame. You know, it's just being cheap is all it is. It's people being cheap. They're just saying that. So thank you for the super chats and super stickers. I have a marquetry table. Okay, if you don't know what marquetry is, inlaid wood, all different types of wood. So the table is cherry or the table is walnut, and they inlay with different lighter color woods. Maybe it's satin wood or fruit wood or whatever it might be. You have a table and chairs. I didn't read it. I'm sorry. You have a table and chairs, but there seems to be a wide range in value. Yeah, there's a wide range in value because some of these makers are great at it. Some of them are the tremendous, wonderful late 19th century Italian masters of the art form, and others are good, but not as good. So you're looking for certain makers, and you're looking also for the intricacy of design. The more intricate the design, the higher the value. The bigger the table, the bigger the chairs. Sometimes they're music boxes. Sometimes they're really small, but they're so intricate they could have a high value. So it depends on the maker. One of the most famous makers is called Fabio, Habbio, and Fabrice, both Italians, one from Milan, one from the Abruzzi region. Very, very desirable pieces by those particular artisans, but those are 19th century artisans of that particular art form. I don't know if it's not going to be easy for you to find those. Francoma pottery. That's right. Yeah, great. You've purchased some Francoma. That's terrific. Yeah, Francoma is a nice pottery. A lot of people like it. Along with, many other of the style. Stangl is something people collect. People collect a lot of those, good, solid, what I call, solid, salt of the earth American pottery manufacturers. So that's good. RJ Klassen. Yes, I need to see a picture. So RJ Klassen. the artist, I would say a photo is what you need to do to send to me, because in this particular forum, not everybody cares about RJ classes. You care, but we want everybody to care about that. So if you send me a picture, I need dimensions. I need you to fill out the form and clear pictures and a close-up of the signature as well. Some of these artists, some artists like that will be, of course, painters who are only painting in a particular region of the United States or a particular region of the world. So you may not see you may not be able to find a lot of them. I hear this a lot. Dr. Lori, I looked everywhere and I can find nothing on this particular thing. Okay. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. That means just all the yahoos out in the internet world, didn't have an opportunity or didn't actually see what you have. That doesn't mean your piece is particularly rare. It doesn't mean your piece isn't particularly rare. It may just be that was not the piece that everybody decided to put online or sell or whatever it might be. So don't get concerned either way. Don't think it's bad. Don't think it's good if you can't find something. Let me take a look at it and I'll tell you what you've got. So I do it all the time. So I'm happy to help you with that too. Watching the King of Collectibles shows now. Hey, Don Ray, you're supposed to be watching me now, not them. Watch me on that show later. But thank you for the super chats and the super stickers. I always appreciate when you're with me. Don's a good guy. He can take that joke. Anyway, thank you for being with me. It's good to see all of you. I'm Dr. Lori, and I'll see you next time.